going? This is Danthal with HardcorePerler.com, back for the second video in the ironing of Bastion from the hit video game by Blizzard, Overwatch. This is an in-game art asset. It's a spray that you can get from a loot box. I want to call it Loot Crate. It's not Loot Crate. Loot Crate's the thing that you order and you get a bunch of junk, like shirts and other things that you can put on your desk. Anyways, I unlocked this when I was playing the game and I said I have to make that. So I did. So here it is. We got him taped up and ready to iron. If you haven't seen the first video, he's actually got the holes poked in here. Go watch the video. Go watch the other video so you can see how to get him in this state. Now we're going to iron him out. We're going to be using Reynolds brand parchment paper. This is the good stuff. There's Perler brand paper as well. We're not going to be using that today. We're going to be using this. This is going to take about 2 sheets here. We're just going to get it kind of lined up here. Make sure you have a little bit just over the edges. Don't use the built-in cutter thing that's in there. Get a pair of scissors. Cut it. Make it even. Make it nice. One piece of parchment paper, ready to go. Let's turn on my iron and get it going. This is my Black & Decker Classic. We're going to put this guy on about, it's a bigger piece, a little bit heavier. We're going to put it about 5 3/4 there. This is about halfway between wool and cotton. Would that be on most irons? Yeah, it says on here cotton and wool and cotton. So it's 5 3/4, almost cotton, not quite. Bead here that moved. Let's fix that guy. One more piece of parchment paper here. This will be a smaller one. Oh, beads are popping up a little bit. Okay, push that back down. Let's see if we can do it this way. Okay. You can smell that iron heating up. For those of you who have been doing Perler Beads for a while, you know how your iron smells when it warms up. All the smells that come along with doing Perler art. Okay. We don't need much overlay on here. We just need it to get this piece of paper here and actually flatten it out a little bit. This is going to throw on the annoying. It's okay. Once we get the iron on it, this paper will behave itself for us. So, we got it lined up. We know what's there. We're going to set this aside for the moment. Get this ready to go. Fall to the side. Yes, this is Bastion from Overwatch. He is a leftover from the Omnic Wars. If you follow any of the lore of the game, he was a combat bot that was kind of left on the battlefield after the battles were over, left abandoned for 10 years, where he kind of had small woodland creatures and everything else just crawl over him. He became part of the landscape and then was reactivated. That's his little buddy Ganymede, which is a little bird. He's in the game too, as part of the animations. So after his 10 years of slumber, he woke up. Most of his combat training was kind of deleted or non-active. So now he kind of seeks his purpose in life. We're going to get going on here. I think we're ready to go. The iron has clicked, so we're good. Just find a spot on the top. Set the iron on there and let it do its thing. One thing I almost forgot, I'm going to walk around while the iron's starting to do its thing. We need some books. Books. Big, heavy books are your best friend when you're doing ironing of creations like this. All right, iron's doing its things. We got some big, heavy books to put on there. When we do the ironing, once the beads are fused, we don't want them to curl up as they're wont to do. We want them to lay flat as they cool down. The books serve the purpose of both keeping them flat and cooling them down, kind of absorbing the heat off of them so that your creation lays flat when it's done. Got the iron on there. you'll see me flicking it up like that every once in a while. This guy's got a little ball bearing in there that if you leave the iron flat, the iron will deactivate itself after a period of time so that you don't burn your house down when you're ironing clothes, which is what, an iron is for, not this kind of stuff. But, so you'll see me just flicking it up, and that resets the timer on the iron so that I keep a consistent heat. So we started on one side here, and I'm just kind of focusing on that, moving it around, starting to warm up the other parts of it. Just kind of put it on there, apply a little pressure, big circles. There we go, starting to look good. I want to get those holes closed up here at the top, right at the top of his Gatling gun. It's starting to look good. So yeah, Overwatch, once again the hit game by Blizzard, not to be confused by Battleborn, which I just watched a zero punctuation video where they where he was kind of comparing the two games to one another. So now, of course, I have Battleborn on my mind. Kind of a shame Battleborn didn't turn out better than it did, but it was kind of a risky thing to put it out at a time when another squad-based shooter was coming out, especially by a powerhouse like Blizzard. And then there's the other ones. What's the other one? I think it's called Paragon or something like that. I don't even pay enough attention to know the difference. I thought Paragon at first was more of a MOBA than a squad-based shooter, which it might be. It might be more of a hybrid. But, big things like this do take a little while to iron. That's why you set your iron a little bit higher. Generally, I won't go more than 5.5 for smaller things because I don't want to overfuse them. Big creations like this will just drain all of the heat off of your iron quick, so you have to have it up a little bit higher. We're going to set that on there. Now we're going to take our first book, Rush Limbaugh's A Big Fat Idiot by Al Franken. I'm just going to set that on that part of it. I got a bunch of just weird books that I get from bookstores, The Associate, Civil War 100. I'm not reading any of these. I'm kind of more about you. Oh, look. Rush Limbaugh. See, I told you so. I stay on both sides of the political spectrum if I can. Da Vinci Code, Dan Brown. I should read that one. And then Women Who Run with the Wolves, which my cat has chewed on the corners of the book. Doesn't care about the women who run with wolves. There we go. When you get the iron on there, you can see, as you're doing the ironing, those beads start to close up. You can see the difference between this, which, ow, it's hot. The beads are still open, and these where it's closed. So it looks a lot nicer, I think, when you get it closed. Even though, when I'm done, I'm going to display it on the bead side. Having these as flat as possible is the goal. Both back on that corner there. Just kind of heat up this part. Flick the iron to get it down. As I was saying earlier, when I was doing the portion of the video where I was putting the masking tape on it, Bastion is a little bit of a controversial character with the fan base. People get really salty when Bastion holds a choke point, gets like a kill hallway, and just goes into his turret mode and just mows everybody down. And then after the match, you have to watch the play of the game where Bastion just turns himself into a turret and mows everybody down, and everybody gets salty. Bastion sucks, everybody hates Bastion. That's kind of the motive of it. He was the character I was gravitated to first. I was like, hey, look, a big giant robot that shoots things a lot. That sounds like fun. That's my kind of character. I'm not necessarily, into the ninja type characters. When I played Team Fortress 2, which this game is very similar to, I almost always play like the heavy or the soldier. I like firing rockets, and I like shooting machine guns that just shoot forever. That's what I consider fun. Judge me if you want, whatever. They're characters in the game. I had a point. I forgot my point. Trying to focus on my iron and entertain you simultaneously here. And doing good at least at one of those tasks. Maybe you're entertained. I don't know. If you're entertained by this, then you are really easily entertained. Let's put the women who run with wolves there, just on this spot, while I get the tip of his gun and Ganymede. And Bastion is considered a defense character, not a tank character, a defense character. Because he excels, this is from the Wikipedia page, excels at protecting specific locations and creating choke points. They can provide means of field support such as sentry setup and trapping the enemy team. Sentry setup would be Togeborn, which I think I might be saying that wrong. He is essentially a chair from IKEA. They have a chair from IKEA, same name as the character, Togeborn. And then you have, what was I going to say? Oh, the Junkrat. He's the trapper. He likes trapping stuff, setting traps and shooting things. I should probably get into playing Junkrat as well. I think I'd like Junkrat. Ganymede's looking good here. And you know you got it ironed out well when you see those holes closing up. And of course, those holes would not be closing up the way they're closing up had we not poked the holes in the tape, as was shown in the previous video. You do this, they close up, it looks nice and pretty and even, and you're proud to display it on your wall and show it off to your friends so you don't have this ugly creation where just a couple of the beads have blowouts or it's uneven and looking bad. Alright, Ganymede is looking good there. Let's throw a Da Vinci Code over Ganymede. Make women who run with wolves. Now we're getting a little bit, you'll see the tape starting to, or not tape, the parchment paper starting to go. You're getting a little bit of warp over here. Expected. This happens. It's a normal part of the ironing process. Not a big deal. You can mitigate it. But the books on there help keep it flat. If it wasn't flat, this thing would be bulging upwards and being a pain. Especially big creations. The bigger they are, the more they have the tendency to warp and kind of get out of control. So, just get in there. Stay on top of it. Things like this, don't try and iron it in 2 separate times or do it all, do the entire thing all at once. Set aside a chunk of your morning, afternoon, evening. Just knock it out. Paper's crinkly now. Okay. So let's set the iron on there, let it do its thing. So not that a story is terribly important to a squad-based shooter like Overwatch, but it does actually have a story, and I'm sure Blizzard will expand on it over time. I mean, the game's been out for less than a month now, and Blizzard tends to add a lot of long-term support to any game that they release. And this being a new IP, I'm sure they will want to do everything they can to not have this game fail, to make this a long-term franchise. Probably be a while, seeing how they do things, it'll probably be 10 years till we see a Overwatch 2, but I'm sure they'll do it. In the meantime, they'll have expansions. I'm really hoping that they get into more maps and characters and story-based, maybe like a single-player campaign. I'm looking forward to see what they come up with for this. Overwatch, if you pay attention to like Blizzard news and everything like that, started off being they were going to be making a kind of a new MMO, kind of something to succeed World of Warcraft, but in a sci-fi universe. So they had a game that was codenamed Titan, I believe, and it was going to be a first-person shooter MMO. They had it ready to go. They were going to show it at like a BlizzCon, and then they were playing it. They said it's not fun. And Blizzard, their philosophy when it comes to games, if it's not fun, take it out of the game. That's been a philosophy of theirs for a while. That's why Overwatch doesn't have ammo pickups. Ammo pickups are not fun. So they took them out so everybody just basically has unlimited ammo, which is great. I think it's, for the type of gameplay it is, it's perfect. If you're doing missions and it makes sense to have to pick up ammo and stuff like that, sure, but ammo pickups have always just been a trope of video games to just kind of choke you, to make sure that you're not going crazy shooting stuff all day long and not trying to be accurate at all, just going nuts. But going nuts is fun. So just decided to take all ammo out. Who knows? Maybe one day they'll add it in. I doubt it. Well, at least like in a single-player campaign. It makes more sense in a single-player campaign. But even then, I mean, who just leaves ammo laying around all over the place everywhere? Ammo makes sense in games like Last of Us or something else to where it makes sense to have to conserve it. I mean, like in a zombie apocalypse. Of course, you're not going to be going, crazy with bullets all over the place in a zombie apocalypse. Bullets and things like that are a limited resource. And it makes sense to have limited resources in a post-apocalyptic kind of world. Fallout 4? Yeah, makes sense. Almost done here, getting close. We're going to get the second piece of parchment paper on there and do his feet soon. We'll just get the bulk of the body going. Just get the iron, set it on there. Let it get the beads melted, and then you kind of move it around and circle it. If you keep an eye on the channel here, like I said, I know it's been a long time since I put a video out, because I just haven't really felt inspired, and I felt like the videos I put out were good quality instructional videos that had all of the steps and everything you needed to do with the masking tape method, so everything else that I would put out after that would kind of be rehashes of the exact same thing. And if I'm not, passionate about what I'm creating, it's kind of going to show up in the videos, and it's not going to be the best ever. But this kind of stuff I love. This kind of stuff, big pieces, giant sentient robots who are trying to find their place in the world. Kind of Johnny Five is alive nonsense. It actually is. It's if you've ever watched the 80s movie Short Circuit, same basic premise. Combat robot goes haywire and becomes self-aware and is looking for his purpose in life, or its purpose in life. I think its is a more accurate statement because it's, not a boy or a girl, it's a robot. Is there such thing as boy robots and girl robots? I guess so. It's how you design it. What would Bastion? Well, Bastion's got a boy's name, so I guess technically there's not even like a point to be arguing whether he's a boy or girl. It's an it. But it has compassion for little birds and little creatures. Not so much for people. People will shoot them right in the face constantly. Little birds, hey, come land on my gun. We're best friends. All right, got one leg going here. Should probably get a book on here. It's okay for the paper to overlap a little bit. If you were going to be displaying the flat side, you'd see a little bit of a crease where the parchment paper is. But like I said, I display bead side, which is I'm displaying the side that's flipped over. Whenever you're doing this with masking tape, you are going to be flipping it over essentially. So whatever side you tape, you're going to flip it over and iron that side and then display it back on the side. So whatever side you tape is going to be the side that ultimately displays when you're done. So if you want something to face the other direction, make sure you build it the direction that you want it to display. If you want it to face the other, whatever direction it is when you tape it is going to be the direction when you pull the tape off. That's the thing to remember. You're ironing the flip side of it. If you want to display flat side, then build your creation inverted. Okay, let's get the iron on the other foot here. Civil War book on there. We're racing the camera here. The camera is a little bit higher resolution of a camera, but unfortunately it only takes shots that are a half hour at a time, and it can take that much time to iron it. How much time do we have left on this one here?
7.
7 minutes. We can do this in 7 minutes. We'll do we'll cut, and we'll do the other side of it where we're taking off the tape and kind of cleaning it up and presenting it. Maybe we'll make it 3 videos. Okay, like I said, you can just set the iron on there, let it get the beads heated up, and move it around. Don't leave the iron on there unattended for too long, because if you over melt these, then it kind of looks bad and leaves like creases and everything else like that. But you want to leave it on enough just so you can get in there and iron it out. And of course, I'm just talking gibberish here because I'm working and talking at the same time. I'm just kind of moving my lips and not making any sense. Okay. A little bit over here where it's starting to do its curl up thing. I can't put a book on there right now because I'm ironing, but just kind of be aware of what we got going. Just about done, and we can call this done. Once we have the primary ironing done, I'm going to remove these books so I can get an angle on these little spots right here. We'll put the books on it. We'll leave it to sit for about a half hour. Some people tell you, leave it overnight. You don't need to leave the books on there overnight. You just want the books to be on there long enough to absorb the heat, cool it down, keep it flat while it's doing its thing, and you're good to go. All right. We're going to call that just about iron. We're going to set the books on there, do its thing, set it aside, get your books, put them on, cover things up so it's going. Go. All right. And we'll be back to take the tape off and finish it up. Okay. So we're all done. We got these guys, these books, I should say. Take our books off. See how we're looking here. We should be good. Like I said, just about a half hour. Then we took about a 45-minute break. There we go. Got Bastion. We're going to set it off to the side. A couple little spots here in the middle didn't fuse perfectly. Like I said, we're going to be we're going to be displaying bead side, so it's okay that those are like that. You won't see them once they're on display. You don't want to get too crazy. If you if you want to get too perfect, sometimes you'll end up over fusing, and then that's not a good thing. You don't want to over fuse. It looks bad when it melts. So we can just take this off. You can see the tape there. You get all these little tape wrinkles from the fusing. The beads shrink a little bit when they're being fused. So the tape kind of bunches up. But this should come off. We'll see if we can do this one piece. I bet this isn't one piece here. Just take a corner, pull it off. If you got them fused up good, this will just come off pretty easy. Some spots, if you get them a little bit too hot, we'll see if we have any hot spots here. The tape will fuse up a little bit. There we go. And just kind of pull it off. Ooh. One big piece there. Set it off to the side. Save a little piece like that. We're going to use that to help clean up and get the tape residue off of there. Ooh, perfect. This came out nice. Okay, so we got all the tape off there. We're just gonna get this guy, and you'll get a little bit of tape residue that's on there, and you use this piece of tape and just like put it on, roll it off. Even Ganymede came out nice. There. Roll it into a ball. Hey, that is looking very nice, if I do say so myself. This is why we do the masking tape method. We get a nice creation that's relatively flat, You can see there's some spots that come up. When it's still a little bit warm, it's not too hard just to get in there with your thumbs and just bend out the little bit of curve that it has. And it's bendy. Just don't get too crazy with it, but you can actually bend it quite a bit. Once this is fused, when you do a flat fuse like you're doing that, these ain't going nowhere. This is solid. This is not going to be fragile. It's not going to be weak. It's going to be held together. You can just pick it up and kind of set it there. Oh, that was lame. But here's the flat side. Came out pretty good. You can see with the flat side, pretty clean lines there with the whites and the blacks. Normally if you get it too hot, you'll see a little bit of bleed in there, but this came out really nice on the flat side. If I wanted to display it flat side, I could. From a distance, the flat side looks pretty nice. Some of the spots there in the middle, not perfect. Middle spots have the tendency to do that, but like I said, I display bead side. Love the bead side of it. There we go. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can go to my website, hardcoreperler.com. I'll have this up on other parts of it as well. I've been doing stuff since 2013. Hundreds of posts on there. I think 200 posts. But a bunch of stuff, other tutorial videos. You can subscribe to the channel where I'm going to be doing more of these, especially if you like Overwatch. I'm going to be doing the rest of them over the next couple months. It's going to take some time. Like this guy just took 5 hours to bead, just to bead. And then another, about half hour or so to iron out. Go put this on my wall. Looking good. Thanks again. This is Dan Hall, hardcoreperler.com.